Welcome to Measurement Mavens. I'm Julie Van Ullen, and today I'm here with Tori Stowers from CarMax. Welcome, Tori.
Thank you for having me.
Do you mind giving the audience a little overview of your role and what you do at CarMax?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm Tori Stowers. I work at CarMax, which is the largest retailer of used cars in the U.S. So I sell and buy a lot of used cars. So more specifically, I lead our video audio activation team. So we're responsible for driving business outcomes through channels like linear, CTV, streaming audio, and podcasts.
One of the things I'd love to start talking about a little bit is KPIs. We talk about this a lot, particularly when it pertains to outcomes, especially because there are so very many KPIs that matter. Can you talk to us a little bit about what KPIs matter most to you and why?
Yeah, absolutely. So the KPIs that matter most to us are ones that are tied to real business outcomes. So that looks a little bit different across our customer journey and different channels that we're operating on. So more specifically in the TV and brand space where it's a little bit harder to get to those outcomes, our team has done a lot of great work and put a lot of great analytical rigor behind finding some real-time signals that are actually tied to those business outcomes. So what that looks like is they found a great correlation between our media proxy metrics, things like impressions, reach, frequency, in combination with some very specific site visitation behavior over time that's actually tied to our brand health KPIs. So things like positive impression, awareness, favorability, which we know also drives sales impact. So it's very much this KPI and even optimization approach we take from A equals B, which equals C.
Tori, at iSpot, we talk a lot about fragmentation, largely because we fundamentally feel like it's one of the core values that we serve in this world is to bring together all of the viewpoints across all media, social, streaming, linear, so that brands can have a better understanding of how their dollars are effectively in use. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you view this modern moment of fragmentation and what some of the opportunities and challenges may be?
Yeah, absolutely. So fragmentation, it's definitely a challenge and an opportunity space for us. I think consumers are consuming media in more ways than ever before, but that also really gives us the opportunity to engage with them in more ways than ever before as well, too. So in terms of fragmentation, the way that we're trying to approach it right now is really looking more holistically across our media, really kind of taking fragmentation management out of these siloed channel and platform plays and really into places where we can holistically and cross-channel address fragmentation. So I think for CarMax, we're really focused on doing this in two different ways. The first way is definitely driving consistency in terms of our measurement approaches, how we're measuring certain outcomes across all these different platforms and channels. And then also consolidation, I think, comes into a big play as well, too. So where it makes sense for our media partners, our measurement partners, definitely kind of finding those areas where we can have a consolidated view to not only unlock efficiencies, but also really help with our customer journey to really understand kind of where they are in that moment and making sure we're addressing them in the right way.
One of the big changes that we've made with our platform as of late is the incorporation of YouTube. In addition to other walled gardens like TikTok, others on the product roadmap. How critical have those sorts of moves been to advance your ability to knock down those walls of fragmentation?
Yeah, absolutely. So big ecosystems, especially walled gardens, whenever we can kind of knock down those walls to get that more holistic approach and that holistic view across our media to really understand where the customer is in that moment and how best to address them is an unlock for us.
Fantastic. One of the most important topics today that we talk about internally is outcomes. And even the definition of the word outcomes in the TV and streaming space, since there's a lot of conflation with signals versus what is a proper outcome for a brand that helps you then make decisions in terms of how to reinvest your dollars. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you think about and measure outcomes, and how capabilities with iSpot and other platforms are helping you advance that thought process?
So it's critical for any marketing dollar that we spend that we're able to figure out what kind of business value and what kind of business outcome that drives for us. This is much harder once you get into kind of the branding awareness space. A lot of times in channels like linear, streaming audio, CTV, and much where you're trying to tie really this exposure at even an awareness stage all the way down to that business outcome and that really business value that it's driving for us. So we've done a lot of great work with our measurement teams to find some correlation analysis using media proxy metrics and also kind of this site visitation behavior to really understand what real-time signals we can use to optimize in real time to make sure that we're on track to drive those business outcomes that we need to for the company. I think we've also worked really hard to make sure we're constantly revalidating and retesting those correlations as well to ensure that those are still correct and that they're still driving that sales impact we're looking for.
As you probably know, iSpot's tagline is creative, audience, and outcomes. And sometimes we say creative plus audience equals outcomes because that is kind of the calculus there. One of the things I find most exciting is that previously a lot of the industry bifurcates creative and media effectively, particularly brands. But I think outcomes is one of those areas that helps us bring it all together. To your point earlier around measuring upper funnel metrics that might be more creative oriented at the same time as the importance of lower funnel metrics. Can you talk a little bit about how outcomes is bringing together creative and media in your business?
So one of the things I think is really exciting that iSpot's unlocked for us is definitely kind of these real-time signals we're able to use that we know are tied to those outcomes, not only at the partner level and like this media channel level, but also down to that audience placement level and also down to creative. So what we're able to do is really bring a lot of real-time optimization, stuff you would normally see in the acquisition and lower funnel, and bringing that up to brand as well, and that includes our creative optimization as well too. So what that results in are things like creative rotations where we're actually able to do things like weight up, weight down certain creatives where we see performance pull through in more real time. We're able to iterate our creative as well, kind of making updates to it to where we think it can drive most impact, and then also test new creative and new approaches in the space as well too.
So we want to ask you about what we call at iSpot a measurement moment. There's lots of moments where data and insights coalesce to teach us something that's really pivotal in our business and drives us forward. And hopefully we're having those on a regular basis. So can you share with us what might be a recent measurement moment?
So I think historically with podcasts, that space has been a lot harder to measure. We've had limited real-time signals. We've definitely been waiting longer for brand lift studies to really understand the impact that that specific media channel is having on our business outcomes. Now, what's been really cool is we've been able to work with iSpot and unlock these incremental conversions specifically for podcast. And what that's done for us is we've been actually able to optimize our podcast space at places like the show level, at the creative level, and even how our podcast buying is done. And that's really matured our buying approach in this space. And one of the things working through iSpot as well too, we're obviously running more media than just podcasts. We have a lot of CTV, linear, other audio partners in there as well. So we're not only able to understand how podcasts are performing at a silo channel level, but also more holistically and across our ecosystem of quite a few brand channels as well too. And what that's done is really matured our strategic approach in the space in what has felt like overnight.
Wow. So you've talked a lot about change and evolution and how you're using data to be smarter. If you were talking to somebody who's just getting into the marketing or advertising space right now, what would be a sage piece of advice that you might offer them?
So the piece of advice that I would give would be definitely to learn the business and how to tie what you're doing to those real business outcomes that drive value. I think this is easier said than done in a lot of places, and each business definitely comes with their own set of complexities and own customer purchase journey cycles that are really important to learn so that you can bring that lens to your media plans and media approaches. So the best marketers I've seen are ones that are able to take those media approaches and then tie them to those business outcomes that they're looking for. So this is definitely harder to do in some areas. It can be a long consideration purchase journey, like at CarMax, even just buying a car, that's a huge decision purchase for someone. So knowing how to tie even that exposure level impression to someone just to even drive awareness all the way down to a business impact can take a lot of time. So it's really important that you keep asking, so what? So what you drove X amount of impressions at X amount of frequency against an audience. So what? And I think it's really important you continue asking that question until you can really complete that story and tie what you're doing to that ultimate business impact.
I couldn't agree more. I love the way that you've said that. Ask the so what question. Exactly. Long gone are the days of vanity metrics, right?
Yes,
Well,
agreed.
thank you so much, Tori. It's been a complete joy to get to chat with you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been fun.